I hope that everyone can still reflect on their commitment.
His commitment?
Because we have a war imposed on us. And today more than ever, I think that all the forces fighting must understand why we are fighting. I often tell the leader to be able to explain to the men why we are fighting.
We do not fight because we want to fight. We fight because we have been attacked.
We were forced into a war. And why was this war forced upon us?
I think everyone needs to understand it because they want our land without us. And this did not start today. It has always been the case for Africa. Remember slavery, when many Africans were deported. The brave and able ones, by the way. Those who were of childbearing age, who were deported. Many died and were emptied from Africa. Then came the era of colonization. When they came to our lands, they massacred us. They massacred our ancestors. They killed as many as possible. Africa was colonized multiple times. And today, more than ever, it is a new form of colonization. And why does Africa suffer so much? Because we have resources that interest the imperialists. I think each and every one of you must understand it. If you're able to put yourself on the front line to fight until the ultimate sacrifice, as they say, it means you understand the meaning of your commitment. You have come to defend the nation, to protect this land that our ancestors bequeathed to us. The predecessors wrote us the anthem. And I think when you listen to the anthem of Burkina, it starts with, however, because they opposed various forms of colonization. The Burkinabe is against humiliation. We are against all forms of domination. The Burkinabe is against neocolonialism. And our duty is to fight and defend our lands.
Some breaking news now. In Burkina Faso, there are reports that 200 soldiers have been killed in attacks by an Al-Qaeda affiliate.
Took place in Djibo. That's around 200 kilometers away from the center of power in Ouagadougou. Atmosphere currently is of fear, smoke, and destruction.
They came at night, armed, ruthless, ready to shake the city to its foundations. Burkina Faso has seen its share of chaos, terror attacks, foreign interference, and political turmoil. But under Captain Ibrahim Traoré, something is shifting. This is not just another leader behind a podium. He is the kind who shows up when it matters most. So when gunmen stormed the city, hoping to bring fear and instability, Traoré did not just react. He made a statement, one that is now echoing far beyond Burkina Faso's borders. This is the story of what really happened and how Traoré's response is redefining leadership in West Africa. Before we continue, hit that like button to support our video. Burkina Faso is a country at war, not just with armed jihadists or coup plotters, but with the weight of decades of foreign control, failed leadership, and broken promises. Since taking power in September 2022, Captain Ibrahim Traoré has faced all these battles on all fronts, leading with bold reforms and a vision to unite the nation against its enemies while striving to rebuild trust and hope among its people. But on one cold night in May 2025, his leadership would face its biggest test yet. In May 2025, Djibo, a provincial capital in Burkina Faso's Soum province, came under a fierce attack. The attackers were from Jama'at Nuslim al-Muslimin, or JNIM, a group linked to Al-Qaeda. It was not a small raid or a hit-and-run attack. They had a bigger plan. The armed men stormed the city, taking control of key areas including administrative buildings and the central roundabout. They even posed for pictures, showing off their presence in the heart of Djibo. It was a deliberate show of power, meant to humiliate the government and prove that they could strike a major city. The attack was devastating. Dozens of people, including soldiers and civilians, lost their lives. Although the exact numbers are hard to confirm because the government always keeps such details quiet, reports suggest that the death toll was heavy. Witnesses described chaos as the attackers moved through the city, targeting military posts and intimidating residents. But the consequences of the attack extended far beyond the military. It was a tragedy for the people living there. Civilians bore the brunt of the violence, caught between the insurgents and the government forces. During the attack, many residents were caught in the crossfire. Homes were destroyed and families were forced to flee. Those who stayed lived in fear, unsure if the attackers would return or if the army's response would put them in more danger. This sudden violence only deepened the wounds of a city already worn down by years of hardship. Djibo has been struggling for years, and it is not just any city. It is a lifeline, militarily, politically, and symbolically for years. It has been the epicenter of Burkina Faso's battle against jihadist insurgents. Its location near the porous Mali border makes it a gateway for arms, fighters, and chaos. Since 2021, the city has suffered multiple blockades. Food convoys could not get through, hospitals were barely functioning, and while international media covered other conflicts, Djibo slowly turned into a ghost town abandoned by aid groups and ignored by diplomats. Many people have faced hunger, and some have starved. Schools have been closed because it is too dangerous for children to attend. However, the attack made things even worse, pushing more families to leave their homes and seek safety elsewhere. By this time, millions of people across Burkina Faso had been displaced, and Djibo's residents added to that number. One woman from a nearby town told a human rights group, "We are trapped. The fighters come, and then the soldiers come, and we don't know who to trust." This fear and suffering were at the heart of the conflict. Yet behind this devastation was a calculated strategy by the insurgents, designed to spread fear and challenge the government's control. JNIM spokesperson Mahmoud Bari had warned months earlier that the group would hit major cities and urge civilians to stay away from military areas for their safety. Therefore, the attack on Djibo was no surprise. It was part of JNIM's plan to weaken the government and scare people away from supporting Traore. This Al-Qaeda-linked group is one of the strongest insurgent forces in the Sahel, the region that includes Burkina Faso, Mali, and Niger. JNIM does not just carry out attacks, they use sieges, propaganda, and alliances with local groups to control territories. In Djibo, they have surrounded the city for years, cutting off supplies and making life unbearable for residents. This recent attack was part of this strategy, showing that they could strike a major city and retreat before the army could respond. Their success in Djibo highlighted not only their bold strategy, but also their ability to outmaneuver and grow in a challenging region. JNIM's strength comes from its ability to adapt. They use motorcycles to move quickly through the desert, making it hard for the army to catch them. They also exploit local dissatisfaction, like poverty and ethnic tensions, to recruit fighters. In Djibo, this frustration is not just rising, it is boiling over. Many residents feel abandoned by the government, left without food, protection, or answers. JNIM has seized on this resentment, positioning itself as a shield against the army. The group's promises of safety connect with them, especially after incidents like the massacre in Silenzo, where more than 130 civilians, men, women, and even children were killed, accused without trial for aiding jihadists. Instead of restoring order, such brutal tactics have only deepened the wound, pushing desperate communities further into the arms of insurgents. The recent attack on Djibo made one thing clear: JNIM remains a powerful force. But for Captain Traore, the challenge was no longer just military. It was about trust, legitimacy, and whether his government can reclaim both before more ground is lost. The question was, how would he respond? Would he be able to push back the attackers, or would this attack expose weaknesses in his leadership? What came next caught everyone by surprise. When news of the Djibo attack reached the capital, Ouagadougou, instead of issuing statements from a bunker or fleeing to safety, Ibrahim Traoré and his government swung into action quickly. They knew the attack was not just a military setback, it was a blow to their reputation. Images of JNIM fighters standing in Djibo's streets were spreading online, making the government look powerless. Traoré knew he had to act fast to show that he was still in control. His response focused on three main areas. First, Traore ordered a military counterattack to reclaim Djibo. The Burkina Faso army, backed by civilian militias called Volunteers for the Defense of the Homeland, or VDPs, moved in to drive out the insurgents. The VDPs are local people trained and armed to fight alongside soldiers, and they have become a key part of Traore's strategy. Without wasting time, these forces worked to push JNIM out of the city and secure key areas. But it was not easy. The attackers had retreated into the countryside using guerrilla tactics to avoid direct battles. The army reported some successes, like retaking parts of the city, but Jemnyem remained a threat, hiding in nearby villages and forests. Traore also used the media to shape how people saw the attack. He is known for being careful about his public image, mostly avoiding interviews and relying on official statements. But after the Djibo attack, his government issued strong messages, calling the insurgents terrorists and vowing to hunt them down. Traore himself spoke on state television, urging people to stay united and warning that the attackers were trying to divide the nation. He suggested that enemies were behind the attack, hinting at foreign interference without naming anyone directly. This was a smart move. It rallied his supporters and shifted some blame away from his government. However, with images of the attack spreading online, not many people believed his message, but he knew what he was up against. Traore then turned to his international partners for support, especially Russia. Just days before the attack, he had been in Moscow meeting with Russian leaders and attending a major event. Russia has become a close ally for Burkina Faso, providing weapons, training, and security advisors. After the Djibo attack, Traore asked for more help, additional weapons, and military experts to strengthen his forces. Although relying on foreign allies can be a double-edged sword, Traore knew there was work to do and he needed help to get it done. He understood that the Djibo attack may be the first of many attacks, and he needed to make sure he could stop future attacks. The Djibo attack was not an isolated incident. It was part of a larger war that has been tearing through Burkina Faso for years. When Traore became the country's leader, he made security his top priority, promising to protect the country from groups like Jim. His strategy has been aggressive, focusing on building up the military, using civilian militias, and striking hard at insurgent hideouts. The Djibo attack put this strategy to the test, showing both what was working and what was falling short. One of Traore's biggest moves has been expanding the VDPs. These militias have helped the army cover more ground, especially in rural areas where insurgents are active. In Djibo, VDPs fought alongside soldiers to push back JNIM, chasing the attackers out of the city. But their role is controversial. Some reports say VDPs have attacked civilians, especially from the Fulani ethnic group, who are sometimes suspected of aiding insurgents. These accusations have fueled tensions, making it harder for Traore to win over communities. The military response showed his determination, but it also raised questions about whether his forces could hold the city without causing more harm. Traore has also pushed for a general mobilization to get civilians involved in the war effort. This means encouraging people to support the military, report suspicious activities, and even join the fight. After the Djibo attack, he doubled down on this, calling on citizens to stand with the army. But this approach has a dark side. Traore's government has cracked down on anyone who criticizes him, including journalists and activists. Some, like a radio journalist named Alain Traore, were forced into the army and sent to dangerous front lines, where they died. These harsh tactics have made Traore popular with some, who see him as a strong leader, but others say he is creating more enemies. The Djibo attack showed that his strategy has not really stopped the insurgents, but as time goes on, it will start to reflect in the battle's efforts. Traore's government has also tried to help displaced people, but the crisis is overwhelming. Aid groups like the United Nations have called for more protection for civilians, but Traore's focus on fighting the insurgents leaves little room for humanitarian work. After the Djibo attack, relief efforts struggled to reach the city because of ongoing fighting. The people of Djibo needed food, shelter, and safety. But Traore's military-first approach did not address these needs. But how long could people endure this hardship before losing hope? The Djibo attack also highlighted the huge challenges Traore faces as a leader. For example, his military is stretched thin. With insurgents controlling large parts of the country, the army and VDPs are fighting on multiple fronts. Soldiers often lack proper weapons or training, which makes it hard to stop attacks like the one in Djibo. Even elite units like the Rapid Intervention Battalions took heavy losses, showing that the insurgents are a tough enemy. Traore has tried to fix this by recruiting more soldiers and buying weapons, but it is a slow process. Now he is trying his best to build a stronger army fast enough to stop the next attack. Traore's leadership depends on keeping people's trust. He is popular with many, especially young people who like his bold promises to make the country stronger. But the Djibo attack has damaged his image a bit. Pictures of insurgents in the city's streets have made it hard to claim that he is winning the war. Although some have started to question whether his tough talk is backed by real results, it is important to know that by trying to make Burkina Faso a truly independent nation, he has gathered a lot of enemies, especially in the Western countries that would like to see him fail and removed from Burkina Faso's leadership position. People need to keep trusting him and helping him to be able to overcome these challenges. However, there is the issue of human rights. The VDPs and government forces have been accused of serious abuses, like the massacre in Silenzo. These actions have turned some communities against Traore, especially among the Fulani, who feel targeted. The Djibo attack showed how these tensions can fuel the conflict. When people feel unsafe, some may even join the insurgents out of desperation. International groups have called for investigations into these abuses, but Traore's government has dismissed them as lies. This has made it harder for him to get support from countries like the United States, which have cut aid because of concerns about his leadership. But is it the truth, or are they just looking for an excuse to make people turn against him? Traore must find a way to fight the insurgents without alienating his own people. However, despite international pressure, events happening have given Traore a powerful narrative to lean on. The Djibo attack has helped Traore to strengthen his position at home. Just a month earlier, in April 2025, his government uncovered a plot to overthrow him, allegedly planned from a neighboring country. The plotters were accused of working with insurgents to attack key sites, including the presidential palace. After the Djibo attack, Traore linked the two events, suggesting that the insurgents and coup plotters were part of a bigger plan to destabilize Burkina Faso. He has used this to rally his supporters, holding large rallies where people waved flags and chanted his name. This messaging has been a key part of Traore's leadership. He not only portrays himself as a defender against outside threats, blaming foreign powers for the country's problems, he has proven that he is right. Burkina Faso's economy is improving gradually. They now refine their gold themselves and have even started building electric vehicles. But while the economic progress shows that he is on the right track, he still needs to find a way to expel the jihadist insurgent groups. To do that, he has decided to rely heavily on his international partners, especially Russia. Since taking power, he has built a strong relationship with Moscow, which has provided weapons, training, and security advisors. Just before the Djibo attack, Traore was in Russia, meeting with leaders and asking for more support. After Djibo, he has pushed for additional help to strengthen his military. Russian advisors, including members of a group called the Africa Corps, have been working with Burkina Faso's army, teaching them how to use drones and other equipment. This support has been crucial in helping Burkina Faso face the insurgents, and Traore's engagement with Russia showed his proactive approach to securing help. Traore is also part of a regional group called the Alliance of Sahel States, which includes Mali and Niger. This alliance was formed to help the three countries work together against insurgents and stand up to pressure from other African nations. After the Djibo attack, Traore has asked Mali and Niger for help. Since GNIM Niger for help is coordinating with these countries is hard, as each has its own insurgent problems and the borders are easy for attackers to cross. This regional partnership is a key part of Traore's strategy, allowing Burkina Faso to tackle a threat that crosses national lines. By building these alliances, Traore has shown his determination to use every tool available to protect his country. The Djibo attack was a turning point for Traore. It showed that, despite his efforts, the insurgents could still hit hard. His military response pushed Jim out of the city, but the group did not disappear. They retreated to fight another day. Traore's media campaign has rallied his supporters, but it did not erase the images of insurgents in Djibo's streets. His alliances with Russia and the Sahel states gave him resources, but now he also needs to work harder against these threats and even solve the deeper problems of poverty, displacement, and distrust. While the attack raised questions about Traore's leadership, he has built his reputation on being a strong, decisive leader who puts his country first. Although the Djibo attack showed that strength alone is not enough, that the insurgents are relentless and the military is struggling to keep up. Traore's reliance on VDPs and military tactics must focus on fighting while still leaving room to support and protect civilians. The people of Djibo and millions like them are suffering, and they need more than promises. They need food, safety, and hope. The Djibo attack was a setback, but it is not the end. Traore's leadership will be tested in the months ahead. Can he strengthen his military enough to stop the insurgents? Can he win back the trust of communities like the Fulani, who feel targeted by his forces? Can he balance his alliances with Russia and the Sahel states without losing support at home? And, most importantly, can he help the people of Djibo and other cities who are caught in the middle of this war? These are tough questions, and the answers will shape Burkina Faso's future. The Djibo attack was not just a battle, it was a wake-up call. It showed the scale of the challenge Traore faces and the stakes for his country. Whether he succeeds or fails, his response to this attack will be remembered as a key moment in his leadership. For now, the people of Burkina Faso are watching, believing he can bring peace to a land torn apart by war. Traore's actions show his determination to fight, but they also show the limits of his power. The road ahead is long, and the people of Burkina Faso are still waiting for peace. The people of Burkina Faso are tired of fear, tired of burying loved ones. They want peace, but they also want dignity, true independence, a country where children can walk to school without fear and farmers can work their land without facing bullets. So, what happens next? That is where you come in. If you have made it this far, you are clearly someone who cares about what is happening not just in Burkina Faso, but across Africa and the world. These stories matter, and they deserve to be told, questioned, and understood. So, don't stop here. Subscribe to this channel to follow the story as it unfolds. We will keep bringing you the raw, unfiltered truth from the front lines of West Africa. Like this video if you believe stories like this need to be seen and heard. Share this video with someone who needs to know what is really happening beyond the headline. But do you believe that foreign powers may be behind these jihadist attacks? Should Traore push harder against these jihadists or focus on his fight for true independence? Drop your thoughts in the comment section below. Burkina Faso is at a crossroads, and so is Ibrahim Traoré. The world is watching, history is being written. Let's make sure the people writing it include all of us.